After Christian forces seized Jerusalem in 1099, Europeans began flocking to the Holy Lands in droves. On the road, they were frequently ambushed by bandits or even crusading knights. To safeguard visitors and assist in defending the emerging Christian nations in the Middle East, a tiny group of combatants created the Poor Knights of the Temple of King Solomon, also known as the Knights Templar. Over the next 2 centuries, the order grew to be a major political and economic force throughout Europe, shaping history in such dramatic fashion that some individuals are still attempting to mimic them. Hello everyone, and welcome to a brand new video on the channel. Today we are going to talk about top 5 things you don't know about Knight Templar. Before we get started with the video, don't forget to smash the like button, share the video, and subscribe to the channel. Now let's get started. Number 5. They created a brand new model of holy warrior. You've heard the stories about King Arthur's knights hunting for the Holy Grail while exemplifying Christian virtues. They wouldn't have made sense before the Knights Templar. In the early Middle Ages, knights were viewed as criminals who overran the countryside and looted communities to feed their own coffers. The Knights Templar established a new paradigm in which members were monks pledged to poverty, virginity, and obedience, and dedicated to battling infidels in the Holy Land. They acquired papal recognition at the Council of Troyes in Champagne in 1129, promising to serve the Christian cause. Significantly, in 13th century traditions about the Knights of the Round Table, the most perfect holy knight, Sir Galahad, wears a white shield with a crimson cross, which was the symbol of the Knights Templar. Number 4. They didn't joke around when it came to discipline. The knights were forced to live austere lives under the rule of the Templars, a rigorous code guiding everyday behavior. They could only eat meat 3 times a week, save on rare occasions, because consuming flesh was thought to corrupt the body. Fur and extravagant clothing were prohibited. Pointed shoes and shoelaces were also forbidden, since these abominable things belonged to pagans. Of course, virginity was required, and Templars were not permitted to kiss any woman, including their own mother. Breaking the regulations could result in a beating, expulsion from the brotherhood, or being forced to eat meals on the floor. During the Middle Ages, the Knights Templar, or Templars, existed for about 2 centuries and were among the most experienced military units of the Crusades. Number 3. They refused to ever surrender. Some Christian forces during the Crusades were disorganized armies with little training, not the Knights Templar. They were well-trained fighters who made a name for themselves. They served as the advance force in several crusade conflicts, including the Battle of Montgisard, where they assisted severely outnumbered Christian forces in defeating an army led by the famous Muslim leader Saladin. Part of their ferocity was likely fueled by religious dedication, which allowed them to regard breaking their vows as a fate worse than death. The Knights Templar rule required them to never retreat, surrender, or charge unless instructed to do so. Excellent characteristics for any army that needed to remain disciplined. Number 2. They were strategic thinkers as well as zealous fighters. While the Knights Templar were famed for their piety and willingness to fight for the propagation of Christianity, they occasionally advised their fellow crusaders against taking risks. When European Christians arrived in Jerusalem for the first time, they frequently wished to fight Muslims as soon as possible. The Templars, who had lived in the area for years and had friendly relationships with local Arabs, occasionally had to explain why they had chosen a specific conflict. It would not be unlikely that the Templars at times seemed insufferably know-it-all to those who had just arrived from the West, says Anne Gilmore Bryson, a historian at the University of Melbourne. Of course, this did not make the Knights Templar pacifists. They just desired larger troops in order to properly smash the Muslim forces. Number 1. For poor knights, they were unbelievably rich. While they vowed poverty individually, the order as a collective grew amazingly wealthy. It helped that Pope Innocent I issued a papal bull exempting them from paying taxes. Donations were received from all throughout Europe by the Templars. Kings and queens bestowed vast lands upon them. In his testament, Alfonso I of Aragon awarded them 1/3 of his realm. Regular individuals also made bequests to the order, leaving tiny parcels of land that piled up. The knights eventually came to own castles, farmland, a large fleet of ships, and the entire island of Cyprus. They didn't only keep their possessions. They used them to increase their fortune by trading harvests, wool, and wine throughout Europe and renting out land to tenants. That's a wrap on the video. I hope you liked it. If you did, let me know by giving it a thumbs up, and do not forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you next time.